So after you've done these 2 steps, when were you on track, feeling like you're on purpose? When were you off track, being derailed? When I was feeling on purpose, and what was I doing? And there was a common theme about what I was doing when I felt on track, on purpose. Anybody have an idea what that might be for me?
Yeah.
What do you think, Josh?
Well, you're working with other people.
When I'm teaching, when I'm standing up in front of a group, when I'm teaching, when I'm helping people, when I'm working with people. You're right. Josh has seen me, and I used to teach at the adult school in Castro Valley. So for me, that was the common thread. Every experience had something to do with that. When I was derailed, it was because I made some choices, and most of the time it was based on fear. And so an aha for me when I did this exercise was to identify what are my fears, and when do I allow fear to run me? When do I allow fear to help me make those choices? Or when do I base my choice on fear instead of basing my choice on my joy? And we always have a choice. We can choose to go toward joy and happiness. We can choose to go toward fear. Actually, Mary Ann and I have been talking recently, and I decided I wanted to share something with her, and I couldn't find it on my computer, so I'm going to my bookshelf. I love books. And I pulled out a couple of books, and I found the book I wanted, a book I read years ago called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Wonderful book. It's all about fear. How do we get rid of our fears? Take action. How do you overcome fear? Take action. Well, I mentioned I love books, and in 2006, I found this book and read it and benefited a lot. This is called The Passion Test. Anybody seen this book? I think Sharon. Passion Test. It's written by Janet Bray Atwood and her ex-husband, Chris Atwood. Actually, they're a neat couple. Really fascinating for me. 2006, I took the Passion Test. Really nicely done. It's a very simple test to take, very easy. And my number one passion, which is consistent, still there today, this was back in October 2006, I wrote my number one passion. What you do with the passion test is you identify different passions, and what floats to the top is number one, and you look at your top 5 passions. My number one passion is joyously inspiring people worldwide. That's my passion. Now, is that money? No, being a multimillionaire was number 4 for me. Teaching people to be healthy millionaires, number 5 is being a multimillionaire. So money is not necessarily what drives me. That's not my number one passion. Some people it is. For me, money is nice. When I don't have money, it's certainly not a very happy situation. But money is not what's my number one passion. My number one passion is joyously inspiring people, and that consistently is coming up over and over. And one reason I said I wanted to talk to, when Michael asked me what I want to talk about this time, I said, well, here's what I want to talk about. In September of this year, I published a book. And that actually was not the top of my list. Let's see, I just reviewing my list. Number 12, passion, writing inspirational books. I thought, really? So I did it, finally. I published this book at the end of September, and it's been a 13-year process. 13 years ago, I learned how to write short little poems. Some people call them haiku. Actually, when I was taught to write them, I was told they were haiku poems. I went to a workshop with Angeles Arian. You may know Angeles Arian. She's a cultural anthropologist. She's written several books. I was with her in a workshop in the Santa Cruz Mountains. And before one of the breaks, she did great workshops. I love her workshops. When she teaches, she tells a lot of stories, and she gives these very long breaks, which are wonderful. And right before one of the breaks, she gave us this assignment. She said, I want you to write haiku poems while you're on break. And she gave us this description. She kept it very simple. She said haiku poems have 3 lines, 3 short lines, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. They don't have to rhyme. It's just 3 syllables, 5 syllables, 5 syllables, 7 syllables, 5 syllables. And there should be something from nature. That's all she told us. Well, I went off on break, and in those days I was a computer programmer. I was a math teacher, I was a math major, I was a math teacher, I taught computer classes. Went for break, and my inner conversation, anybody else talk to themselves? My inner conversation is saying, I'm not a poet. I'm not creative that way. I'm a math person. I'm a computer programmer. I'm left brain dominant. I'm linear, logical, that kind of thing. I'm not a poet. And the little boy said, you were given the assignment, do the best you can. Okay. So I'm out there walking around in nature, and I love being in nature. It's a beautiful place in the Santa Cruz Mountains called the Madonna Inn, and I'm walking around and I'm enjoying the flowers and the trees and the canyon, and I sit down on this wooden bench, and here's this wooden bench, and I'm swinging out over the canyon and just really enjoying myself. And I pull out my notebook, and I get peaceful and quiet. Nope, I'm all by myself, nobody around, nobody to talk to, which is fine. I love being like that in the nature. I pull out my notebook, and they start to flow. As I remember, I think 5 of them, one after another. They're just flowing. I thought, well, this is interesting. So I go back in after break, and I'm listening to other people. Angela's asked people to get up and talk and share their poems. And I listened to a few people, and I thought, okay, I'm going to have the courage to stand up and share my poems. And so I did. I stood up and I shared my poems, and I was amazed. People are saying, wow, those are wonderful. I said, oh, I like that reaction. Especially since I didn't think I was a poet. I guess maybe that inner conversation was the wrong conversation. You suppose I was telling myself a lie? Anybody else ever tell yourself a lie? Something that isn't true, and later you discover it isn't true? So I've been writing poems now for years. I've been posting them on Facebook, and people come up to me and they give me these comments about, they comment on Facebook and they come to me at meetings and they say, oh, you have no idea. I look forward to waking up in the morning and seeing your poem because I get inspired, it uplifts me, makes me feel good during the day. I think, ooh, that's my passion, right? Anytime somebody says I inspire them, how do you think I feel? That's my wire. That's why I do what I do. And I tell people, I have some friends who say to me, I charge $5 for this book, and my friends say, Bonnie, there you are again. You could be making more money. Actually, there's somebody on Amazon that charges $43 for this book. Not me. I only charge $5, and they say, well, you ought to charge more than that. I said, look, this is not about money. Anybody relate to that? This is about sharing my work, sharing who I am, and being that unique person who has a gift. And this is my way of inspiring. It's my vehicle, it's my wine. Now, how does this relate to what I'm saying today? Your talents. What's your talent? I didn't even know about my talent as being a poet until 1999. Now that I'm using it, all of a sudden it was like an aha. I came up with this title before I went back and realized that I had my #1 passion, joyously inspiring people. What did I title my book? I didn't title it Haiku Poems because people keep telling me, people have said to me, and there's a story in here about right after I started writing these, I shared them with a friend, and she said, those aren't haiku. She pulls out this book with all the rules about haiku poems. And I started posting them on my website, and people started sending me emails saying, those aren't haiku. And I said, do I care? Call them whatever you want. And on the back I say, you may know the distinction between the different kinds of poems called haiku, senryu, and zappa.